All right, welcome back to the Run.down post-game show here on the Strickland YouTube channel, Strickland Twitter, and if you're listening to this the day after Strickland Podcast Network, I am Sam. The Knicks win 114-104, sweeping this weekend series from the Nets. Four Knicks scoring double in 20. Four Knicks score 20 plus points. As they take care of business against this Nets team. Before we get started, of course, though, BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, NHL to entertainment and political props, head to BetOnline today, getting on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here. So, Knicks win against the Nets. Very, very good. I think they just brings them to above 500 for the first time, I want to say, this year. Or it feels like it's the first time this year. A lot to talk about in this game. There's minutes stuff. There's rotation stuff. We'll get into all that, of course, though. But I think the best place to start is I want to start with OG Anunoby. OG Anunoby tonight continues to show off this offensive versatility and this like newfound shot diet that's like pretty consistent, and he's comfortably scoring like 20 plus regularly now. Had 24 points tonight, 8 rebounds, and a block. Shooting 52% from the field and 43% from three tonight. So pretty good game from him. Did a good job keeping Cam Thomas in check. I feel like that was an adjustment from the last game. But yeah, he played well tonight. And I think that, it's great to see him come into his own. I mean, everyone's always joked about the Kawhi comparisons, but like, you kind of like see it this year, like for real, in terms of like the shot diet and where he's getting his shots, the defense, like the consistency you're seeing now. I think in years prior, he was never really consistent on offense, but this year you're really seeing this consistency every game, and it's very encouraging. But yeah, he played well tonight, and I'm hoping that we can continue to see this. I semi-joke tweeted all-star campaign for him, but like, hey, I mean, if he's like scoring 20 to 24 points a night and like giving you great defense, and the Knicks are like pretty good team. I mean, right now they're not really in the highest of the rankings, but that can change over a matter of time. But I mean, who's to say he can't get some love there? I do want to highlight this super chat from Bara El-Hari. Sims look more active out there tonight. Thank you for the super chat, and I'll get into some Sims Huckporty stuff as we continue to talk about today's game as well. But yeah, I mean, OG Anunoby played really well. Josh Hart, I'll go to him next. Flirted with a triple-double again, 28 and 8. 61% from the field, 43% from three. Love that he took 7 threes and hit 3 of them. Just great stuff from him. He was all over the court tonight. Played well. And yeah, I mean, he's just like embracing this newfound role on the team where he kind of has to do more just because of like the depth on this team. Like in years prior, he didn't have to do much offensively, but now he is having to do more, and you're just seeing that come to fruition night in, night out, and he played great tonight. And there's like nothing you can really say. I mean, the only thing you can really criticize is the minutes that he played. He played a lot of minutes tonight, 46 minutes. Don't think that was completely necessary against this Nets team. Hopefully on the second night of back-to-back tomorrow, he can either the Knicks take care of business and he doesn't have to play too many minutes, or give Pacome and Matt Ryan a little bit more run. But knowing Thibs, he probably won't. So there's that, but there is that minutes concern. And I mean, when you look at him OG and Bridges, the minutes distribution there is just ridiculous. I don't know what or how that's going to change, but you're hoping that it does at some point. But yeah, nonetheless, Josh Hardy played a great game tonight, and you're just hoping that he continues this, especially with the 3-point volume. I mean, if he can keep teams honest the way he did tonight from 3, then that kind of opens up a lot of opportunities for his team. And he was just doing a lot more initiating tonight. And I forgot who tweeted this. I think it was XJ. On Twitter today, he tweeted that like one way to supplement the the deficiency of Hart being a lackluster 3-point shooter or a consistent 3-point shooter is to put the ball in his hands more, just so his deficiency of spacing is not as prevalent and in your face. And you noticed that tonight. I mean, him having the ball a lot more, being able to initiate stuff, he was able to just, his spacing wasn't that much of an issue. And even if he wasn't initiating as much, he still was able to hit the threes that he was getting. So yeah, that was great. Next person I will highlight is the third of this wing triumvirate. And Mikal Bridges, 21 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist. Another good game against his former team. Shot 50% from the field, 30% from 3. Wish he hit one more 3. If you look at my timeline, you would understand why I said that. Was almost back to back on live Knicks parlays. I don't know if HB Greg is in here, by the way. Speaking of parlays, I was one game early on the Jaylen Wilson stuff. I know you gave me shit in here last time for the Jaylen Wilson pick, but he balled out today. I called it. I was just one game early, but yeah. But yeah, we'll talk about some more net stuff later as we dive into this game. But yeah, Mikal Bridges, is good to see him play well against his former team. Defensively active. I mean, you're hoping that consistently he can continue to bring this level of defense every night. And we're not going to play the Nets every night, but yeah. He had a steal and a block tonight. So yeah, you're just hoping that he continues to play well, but hopefully he doesn't have to play 45 minutes a night because that's ridiculous. And we'll talk about wing rotation stuff when we get to some other players tonight that played. But yeah, one Karl-Anthony Towns, 26 points, 15 rebounds, 6 assists, a steal, a block. Love seeing Cat out there dishing. Man, I know I haven't watched all the Cat tape in the world, but it feels like he gets such an unfair whistle. And I don't know if it's because of his previously noted bad defensive reputation that refs are more inclined to call fouls on him, even if they aren't. Some fouls tonight called on him were actual fouls. Like that foul on the Jaylen Wilson drive, he's got to just keep his hands up. He can't be putting his hands in there. But I feel like he just gets an unfair whistle at times. And yeah, I feel like tonight or these last couple games, we've just been getting an unfair whistle in general against the Nets. Luckily, we've been able to come out with some wins, and I don't like to focus too much on the referees, even if, especially in wins, just because it feels like it takes away from whatever else is more important to talk about. But I feel like it is important because this is the same opponent that we played 2 games in a row, and we were having the same issues with the referees, their questionable calls. It just makes these games go on much longer, especially when things have to be challenged. They shouldn't have to be challenged because they should have been called right the first time. All that shit, especially last game just went on way too long. But yeah, back to my original point. I mean, I feel like Cat gets an unfair whistle. He's also got to clean some things up on that end, but I feel like he's playing much better defensively than he's getting credit for. So yeah, there's that. I mean, he's killing it on the glass. 15 rebounds. I think he's averaging 12 on the season. The assist, love to see the assist. I mean, there was 1, 2, 3, 4 Knicks with 6 or more assists tonight. And I think they highlighted it on the broadcast as well. So that's really good to see the guys are passing out there. I think that's a little bit of a little bit of a tell for chemistry, I would say. Just like the ball's just moving a lot more. So yeah, I mean, and you love to see Cat giving those like assists out of the post, especially those over the head passes. So those are really good, especially when guys are cutting. So you're hoping that guys keep cutting even more. He can keep finding guys, and the offense just keeps flowing from there. One thing to note tonight too, held the Nets to 104 after giving up 123 to them last game. So improvements there defensively, especially on one Cam Thomas who did not go off for 40 something points or whatever it was he did last game. Yeah. So, I mean, it was good to see the Knicks have a better defensive effort. But yeah, back to Towns. Only played 30 minutes tonight. Not too bad at it. I hope for the next game that he plays less minutes, if he even plays at all. I feel like Cook Portia is good enough against the Wizards. No diss to the Wizards, but like, I just think that like against the Wizards, you can rest Cat. Like, especially the way like he fell. Looks like his knee still might be ailing him a little bit. His back is hurting him a bit. So yeah, just rest him. It's Alex Sarr. Porter should be able to handle that. He's proved to be pretty capable so far already, which is interesting, and I'll get into that in a bit. The last of the starting five that I'll talk about today, Jaylen Brunson did not have the best shooting game, 3 of 14 from the field, but had 12 points, 5 rebounds, 10 assists, 2 steals. Just good to see him get into that passing bag a little bit more, especially when he doesn't have the shot going. He didn't really force it too much with the shots. Like, I'm glad that like 4 other Knicks were able to keep up in the scoring department. I mean, between the 4 of them, it was like what, 24, 26. That's about like 24 plus 26 plus 20 and plus 21. About 91 points between the 4 guys, except for Jaylen Brunson. So that was really good to see that even though Jaylen Brunson did not have it going tonight, that the rest of the starters were able to pick up the slack. And that's kind of what you made these trades for, and why you kind of went top heavy is just like so that way these guys could do this when Jaylen Brunson doesn't have it going, and you don't have to be so overtly reliant on Jaylen Brunson as this team was, especially in that later part of the last season. And you can say that was due to injuries, whatever it may be, but it's just good to see that these guys were able to pick up the slack when he didn't have it going. Now let's talk about some of the bench. There's a lot to talk about here with this bench unit. Sims played 18 minutes. He played all right. Won't complain too much about him, but I do find it interesting that Huck Porty could not see the floor tonight after he had a great game last year. Well, not a great game, but a pretty good game. I know I said great game last stream, and like that's relative to what a Sims game is. But I feel like Huck Porty played pretty good to earn himself a spot in the rotation. And we'll see how this develops throughout the year. And over these next couple games, especially because we know this is when the Knicks lineups start to take more of some form. You know, you're gonna have Precious coming back soon. Who knows what happens with Mitch? Who knows what happens with Shamit when he comes back, if he does. So there's some things there as well. I will say though that I mean Sims did all right in the minutes that he played. Huck Porty probably would have been better. So it's like, why start yourself from behind when you can just do more damage with Huck Porty, but won't complain too much about it because it wasn't too much of a detriment to us. And we'll see how that fares going forward. One Cameron Payne played really well off the bench again today. It's like the second time in the last like 3 games where he had actually had a really good game. For his standards, at least now. Gave us a little glimpse of that Phoenix Suns version of himself. 9 points, 6 assists. Was just pulling from deep, which I don't mind if they're going in from him. I mean, you love to see that that just like quick trigger from three. So that's really encouraging to see from him. Hopefully he can be consistent. I mean, these last 3 games on aggregate have been pretty good, as like a sum, if you're looking at it from a total sum. But yeah, I like what I see from Campaign. When he's got it going, he's got it going, and when he doesn't, it can be pretty rough. So just hoping he can keep it going. And he's able to just control the pace in that second unit a little bit as well, especially with no Deuce there. So yeah. Last person that played today, Pacome Dadiet, seems to have taken Matt Ryan's place in that rotation as the backup wing. I don't mind it. He didn't score today, but the defense looked good. And you know what? I will take it from a 19-year-old rookie, 19-year-old wing rookie. Wing's a tough position in this league, man. It's a tough position. And to hold your own on defense against anybody. The Nets don't really got anybody. You're probably saying to yourself, but it's like, it's still what he was able to show out there. It's like he's a rookie, so like, you know, whatever we see that's good, and like if it's good to this degree, it's like, okay, we got something here. So, you know, you're just hoping that when guys start getting healthy, when the rotation fills out, if they need someone to eat some minutes at wing, throw him out there. He's capable, especially defensively. Like he doesn't look rattled out there. That's like what's the most impressive thing about him. He's a 19-year-old rookie. I know a lot of the rookies that we've brought in the last couple of years have been a lot more experienced in terms of like age. They've been in college for a couple of years, whatever it may be. But like he's a 19-year-old rookie, fresh out of France, and he doesn't look rattled. Doesn't look really bothered by anything. Held his own out there. Had some really good defensive possessions. I'll take it. Like if he can eat 10 to 15 minutes on the wing, like do it. Have him do it. Like there's no reason to be playing like 3 guys 40 minutes already. This is how you get guys gassed. So hoping that this is something that can change. And you know, Pacome can start to get more comfortable out there. Thibs gets more comfortable trusting him, etc., etc. We don't have guys playing 40 minutes because it's not needed. It's just not needed. We got a new super chat from BX Boy 71, $5 super chat. Thank you for the super chat. He says, "What's the point of keeping Toppin on the roster if you can't play him when you need bodies? Should have kept TJ Warren. He's a waste." I don't know why Toppin is on the roster. It's a very good question. I feel like there's a Toppin quota. Like there needs to be one Toppin per Knicks roster during this Thibs era. So when Obi went, they had to get Jacob. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's someone definitely for Westchester. I don't know if they're like necessarily keeping him there to like develop him and like they actually think that he can become something more than end of bench guy. But I feel like the Knicks will like do some finagling. Because there are certain like contract deadlines and there are certain parts of the season where you want to sign guys to contracts that are more cap friendly. So the Knicks might be keeping Toppin on the roster for a certain amount of time, and then when the time comes where they actually want to like fill out the roster with like guys they actually want to keep from like either the G League team or like wherever it may be, they can sign them at a lesser price, I'm assuming. A lot of what the Knicks do with these roster spots, all of it is very intentional, and it always has to do with contracts. So I wouldn't worry too much about it, but like as we get towards like the Decembers, the Januaries, the Februaries, parts of the year, that's when you want to pay attention to some more roster stuff with the Knicks, because like we saw what they did last year in terms of like filling out the roster with like a bunch of random guys, and then those guys that actually ended up being key to the Knicks, like being able to trade for Mikal and do all these other trades and stuff like that. Like guys that we got in trades, we were able to guys that we got at the end of the season, we were able to include in trades. Guys that we got back in those trades, we were able to include in other trades, like with Shake Milton. We were able to use him in that Nets trade. We get back Keita Bates-Diop, who we send in the cat trade. So like all these things, it's very intentional with this Knicks front office, what they're doing. So Toppin is here for a reason. We will see what that reason is when it matters for this team. Right now, it doesn't matter. So that's my long answer of why Jacob Toppin is on the roster still. But yeah, I do think that they'll fill out the roster with more suitable players, like a TJ Warren, Landry Shamet, those type of guys, when the time is necessary. Right now, it probably doesn't make sense for the team contractually, and other reasons as well. But yeah. But yeah, let me get to some comments. Shout out to everyone that's in here. Make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe. We have here Jordan Bub says Knicks have Wizards at home tomorrow night and then play 5 games in 10 days. First 4 out west. Phoenix, Utah, Denver, Dallas. 5th is NBA Cup action at home against Charlotte. I think we talked about this the other day, but I think they probably win Phoenix. Phoenix has been in some dogfights lately with, well, not dogfights. I mean, they were in a dogfight with the Timberwolves today, and they played OKC the other day and lost pretty badly. But I mean, no Beal, no Durant for them lately, so it's just been Booker with whatever else is on their team. They've been making games competitive, or at least the Timberwolves game was competitive today. But I feel like there should be some good action for the Knicks. Utah, Denver, Dallas. It's hard getting a read on these teams because, like, Denver, is Jokic going to be back? He's out for personal reasons. I don't know what it is. Maybe he's having a kid or something. I don't know. But Utah, Denver, Dallas, hard for me to get a read on just because Utah's like one of those bad teams that's like really competitive. What you call it? Denver is a bad team when Jokic isn't playing, especially. And Dallas has been up and down. So, and they were competitive with OKC today with no Luka. So, like, you see what I'm saying here? It's like really hard to get a read on these teams. These teams are kind of like, they're kind of like in similar situation to the Knicks in a way, at least record wise. Like, a lot of these teams are like 500, close to 500, slightly above 500, whatever it may be. But yeah, it's hard to get a read on these teams. I think even the Charlotte game, I think that one's going to be competitive. Like, Charlotte's been really competitive. They were competitive with the Cavs today, although albeit the Cavs were missing Donovan Mitchell, but like they still made that game competitive. So HB Greg, my picks: Cam Johnson 4 threes. It did hit. Schroeder 20 points did not hit. Schroeder 10 assists did not hit. You are very right, but I was right on Jaylen Wilson. I was just a day early. Dennis Schroeder just didn't have it going against us today, and I'm like, I thought like, I don't know. I thought like, I don't want to say I thought like Mikal would struggle against him, but like speedier guards do give him slightly a bit of more issues, but whatever. I'll take being wrong on that if it leads to a Knicks win. So I'll talk about my picks for the next game for the Wizards. But yeah. H22 says Mikal's perfect last 2 games defensively, especially so happy with him now. Yeah, he's definitely improved. I don't know if he was motivated to show his former team and their fan base that he was mailing it in last year. To really stick it to them. Because Nets fans been having a ball this year watching Knicks games. They've been like, oh, man, look, we fleeced the Knicks. They really thought that Mikal was going to turn it on defense out of nowhere after mailing it in. But, hey, he did. So, we'll take it. Hopefully this leads to, hopefully this is something that's a catalyst for Mikal to continue playing like this on both sides of the ball. Jerome Bob says, so we all know that Cavs been playing against the Wizards tomorrow. It would be very wise to not play against the Wizards tomorrow. I'll tell you that. I don't think it's worth throwing Cat out there against freaking Jonas Valanciunas and Alex Sarr. Like, I just don't see it. So I think Huckporty, give Huckporty and Sims that duty. Let them battle with Valanciunas and Sarr. Ace Richard says Dadiet and Huckporty's defense has been the most encouraging things about their game. I can see Thibs trusting them more and more throughout the season. Yeah, I think that's the most encouraging thing, is that defensively they're locked in. And like the rest of their games will come naturally. Like Pacome, the shot looks nice when he shoots it. Like I trust the process with him. Huckporty, we saw more last game, like what his game could look like. We saw like a glimpse of like what it could look like a little bit more polished throughout the year. So yeah. So yeah, we'll see what happens with those two, but it's very encouraging. Hopefully that Thibs can trust them more. Because it's great to give some young guys some reps on a team that has like lofty expectations. Because like you never know when they might come in handy down the stretch too. So H22 says the refs last two games were so nasty. I'm hoping that like against the Suns or whatever it may be, the next couple games, even like the Wizards too, we can just start to get a better whistle. Like what the hell? We're at home and we can't even get home cooking. Like that's stupid to me. Bridges is leading the league in minutes played right now. I mean, we all saw the jokes about, Bridges Iron Man streak versus Thibs. Thibs is like really trying to press it now, but nah. Yeah, I think he's got to chill with that. And hopefully Pacome being a viable option now gives him another option at the wing, so that way he doesn't have to expend those guys too much. Jordan Buff from JL 3-3 from Jordan Buff. He says Thibs has said he believes Cat is seeing the whole floor game at a different level than when he first had him in mini. I mean, yeah, Cat has gone through so much since he's been with Thibs in Minnesota. Like he's had to learn to play the 5, then play the 4. And like he's had to add things to his game. He's had to like step down from being the guy to being Anthony Edwards number 2. So it's like he is seeing it all in terms of like the NBA landscape. He went to Western Conference Finals last year, a couple games away from going to the finals. Like he has seen his fair share. It's like molded him into what he is now. So like he is definitely going to be a much different player than he was in Minnesota when Thibs had him. It's just a matter of like, all right, can we stop the stupid fouls? Can we lock in during the playoffs consistently? So those are the things that we'll see if they translate, because so far Cat has been amazing, especially offensively. And yeah, there's nothing else more I can say for him. Just give him a game off tomorrow. We don't need him versus the Wizards. Dorkosaurus Rex. What an interesting name. I'd love to know the story on that. But they say another 2 weeks minimum until Precious is back. The starter's minutes not sustainable until then. But I think that you can. I'm not saying the starter's minutes are not sustainable. I think there's a way to make sure that they are not playing this much. You have players. Play them. That is my big thing. That is my big spiel right there. Jordan Mom says the last Knicks centers were 26 points, 15 rebounds, 6 assists in a game. Karl-Anthony Towns this game, of course, Patrick Ewing in 95-96, and Bob McAdoo in 77-78. Yeah, I mean, Knicks haven't had good centers, or at least centers like with this much of an offensive game, I would say. A lot of the Knicks centers over the years have been just like typical rim runners, lob catch guys. Like, yeah. Stacy.
Hey Sam, sorry to leave you hanging for a bit, but
All
yeah,
good.
fun win.
Yeah, your thoughts on the game, Stacy?
Yeah, I mean, look, it was frustrating. I think the whistle the Knicks got over the last two games is, this might be biased. This might be me not giving the Nets enough credit, but I haven't seen the Knicks go through two games. Like, I actually haven't thought it's been that bad this year so far. The officiating, but look, Brunson couldn't shoot the ball, but I want to start with Brunson because I think a lot of what happened, and I've seen him get a lot of criticism, a lot of what happened I thought was a result of his kind of how much attention he drew. He ended up with, I believe, 10 assists, 11 assists. Didn't shoot the ball well, but he didn't take a ton of shots by his standards. And I thought he was great. I think Cat has been a slam dunk. I mean, think about think about how many trades the Knicks have made. Julius Randle had 35 and I think seven assists. I think 35, 10, and 7 with a game winner at the buzzer. And, think about how many trades the Knicks have made where that would have just been the story. And nobody's going to talk about that because Cat has just been flat out awesome. And, it was the whole team. And the thing is, the Knicks are now adjusting. They are no longer the upstart, right? They have a target on their back. So, we look at these wins and you might feel like, yeah, they're a better team than the Nets. They should win. It's not that simple in the NBA. And they're going to need to have this attitude. And I loved seeing Bridges. He's been shooting the ball really well. That mid-range has been automatic. Overall, it was it wasn't, these last two games against the Nets weren't fun in the same way. But there's a lot of encouraging signs. And if the biggest troublesome sign is that Brunson had some problems shooting the ball today, that's that's something I'm not worried about, to put it mildly.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I was saying earlier before you hopped on, I was saying that like it was very encouraging to see that even though Brunson didn't have it going, the rest of the starters were able to pull together 91 points and still be able to take care of
And
business.
I thought he did a good job getting them involved, right? I mean, he wasn't struggling in a vacuum, right? Like the Nets were throwing everything at him, right? So, I thought his decision making this was one of his best decision making games that I've seen. That might be hyperbole, but
No, definitely, definitely. Your thoughts on the minutes load for the three wings?
yeah, it's tough to criticize because he gave Dadiet some real minutes. And I thought Dadiet, we can talk about that afterwards. I thought Dadiet acquitted himself quite well. He looks very advanced for a defender at his age. I mean, he just turned 19, and he had he moves his feet well. He's in the right spots. Did he make mistakes? Yes, but I think of a guy like Emmanuel Quickly, right, who is one of the best team defenders I've seen in the last few years on the Knicks. Dottie is more advanced than he was as a rookie, and Quickly came, after 2 years of college, right? Dottie is basically coming out of. I mean, he played pro, so I don't want to diminish that. Pro in Europe is his own thing, but he's very advanced. But so before I go in on Tibbs, or I'm not going to go on Tibbs, we have to recognize, I think, that he played the rookies, right? That said, I think that the issue is Hart played 45 minutes. It's worth noting Tibbs tried to take Hart out in the first half, and Hart told Dadier to sub out, which is the most Josh Hart thing ever. So it's not all on Tibbs. I think Hart is just a psycho, but OG especially. You want to, OG. You can see how valuable he is, right, on both ends now. At this point, he has really been the third option. That's not a knock on Mikal Bridges, but OG has taken not a leap maybe offensively, but a step, right? He's just money around the rim. He can hit that mid range. He had an eye opening step back, which I thought was a bad shot when he took it the long two, and it was just swish, and he's been making those. I think the thing is he played Dadiet, so I can't even fault him on that. I think the bigger issue is he won't play Sims or Huckporty next to Towns. I don't know if they've tried that in practice and it looks bad. I can he didn't play Huckporty at all, and this is, I said it after last game, I think Huckporty needs minutes, but it's not a knock on Sims. I think Sims has actually played as well
Pretty
as
decent.
I don't think he's been great, but he's been doing his job, right? So Sims is not. It's not like Alfred Payton where he's compromising the team. But Huckporty clearly brings a different level. But either way, he won't play either of them next to Cat, right? So that spills over, right? Because if Cat gets more minutes at the 4, that allows OG to rest a little bit, right? And if OG can rest a little bit, or OG can play more at the 3, that allows Hart to rest a little bit, right? That, it's just another guy in the rotation or another guy playing more minutes. And maybe it could be that in practice, Sims and Cat is awful, and it's not going to get fixed till Precious comes back. But and I think that might be the saving grace, right? You just say, hey, once Precious comes back, this will all be back to normal. But and Hart's part, I think it's just because he's a psycho and he just wants to play all the minutes. And maybe there is a conversation we had about Tibbs maybe taking a stronger hand there. But I wouldn't mind seeing Sims at the 4, or I wouldn't mind seeing. I'm still, even after Sims played well, he had a huge block late. I would still like to see Huckporty get some more minutes. He looked just like he brought something different on Friday. But I think that I would.
Huckporty is able to do more, in terms of short
He's a
roll
big fucking dude.
passing. He's big. He's able to run the floor just a little bit better. He has better hands, I would say. Just does things a lot better than Sims does, and it's not to be knocking on Sims, but it's just Huckporty just offers a different dimension, especially on offense.
Yeah, so I think Huckporty still makes. I think he just grades rookies on a curve, right? If you make one mistake as a rookie, it's equivalent of 3 mistakes as a vet. It took him a long time to play Grimes over Fournier. And that might have been good for, and I know not everyone's a big Quinn Grimes fan there anymore, but that was probably a decision that should have been made earlier, right? He played Elf over Quick, not even more minutes necessarily, but just starting him. So those are some Tibbs quirks. But for the record, I think Sims actually has, I was dreading every Sims minute, and I don't think the plus minus has been great, but I don't think it's been all on him. He's smaller. He's not a great rim protector, but he's active on the glass. He knows where to be. It's just it's also I was not high on Jericho Sims, but there was a time when I was yeah, this guy can switch on the perimeter. He his coordination, but he switches on the perimeter, and guys like Cam Thomas will still hit shots on him. He'll contest at the rim and be in the right spot, but he's just not that big.
Yeah, and he's a 6'8" center.
Yeah, it's and Huckporty, somebody mentioned this in Discord today. Huckporty is not that much taller or longer, but he feels a lot longer. So it's just you watch him out there, and it's just guys I can't remember any time this season. This happens all the time. You watch Mitchell Robinson or Isaiah Hartenstein. Last year, you could say, right? How many times did guys go in? I don't know what that means, Sam. Oh, sorry. I thought that was your pause sign. You were you had your mask on, I guess, but you were just bending over.
No.
No, but last year, you would see plenty of times dudes, whether it's Dame Lillard or Donovan Mitchell or whoever else, they go into the paint, and Mitchell Robinson or Isaiah Hartenstein is there. and they're like, all right, I'm gonna make a business decision and not take this layup. I'm gonna pass it out, or I'm gonna try to like get a floater or something. That hasn't happened this year, right? Huck Forty coming in last game, that was the first time I saw that in a while. Um, and that is to me. So yeah, maybe he's not listed that much bigger than Sims, but you look on the floor, he's clearly having that level of impact.
No, for sure. Let me get to some more of these comments here. We have here. Jordan Bub. Karl-Anthony Towns says my teammates putting me into situations to succeed and Cap running the show. I think he did a great job commanding the game today, and we kind of mentioned that today in terms of Jaylen Brunson not having it necessarily in terms of the shot, but he was able to kind of control the pace of the game in other areas. Dorkosaurus Rex says Daddy was a better screen navigator than Bridges and was probably the best on-ball defender, perimeter defender, and transition defender on the team today.
There might be truth to that.
In the limited minutes we saw him in.
We don't watch him in practice, and he got pulled after missing a box out. Is that harsh from Tibbs? Yes. But the rookies are held to a higher standard, for better or for worse. Honestly, if you look at the way young guys develop under Tibbs, it's annoying when it happens.
But it works.
It works in the long term. And if you're, and boy, like, I got to say, like, the long term for Pacome Dadiet is much more exciting than the short term.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, you're already seeing the, like, very small inklings of what it can be, especially defensively. Like, he's already way better defensively than we all initially, I think, expected.
He's already better than we got. Remember when we had those flashes of Cam Reddish, like doing long person stuff?
Yes, that is what we're seeing with Pacome already, and he's only 19.
Yeah, and like you can see why he's not there yet. Like he has ball handling ability, but he can't do anything because guys can body him, right? He's always in the right spot on loose balls and rebounds, but he just doesn't have that strength yet. You give him a summer in the weight room, man, this guy's gonna fucking blow up because he's like he is confident in his shot. I love that. He knows where to, like, that's the thing when you talk about an 18, 19-year-old, and I talked about this with Schman, the guys with Dadiet's like profile, right? Super long wing, athletic, toolsy, right? They often, like, the problem is, but they don't know how to play basketball when you get them at 25, right? If they know how to play basketball and they're that talented, they go top 10, right? That's just how it is, right? That's not the problem with him. He knows how to play. I think the only problem is it's a lack of strength, which, that's a fair thing for a 19-year-old to not have. But a summer in the weight room, and this guy could really blow up. I believe that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, even I'm already looking forward to like what he's gonna look like in summer league next year.
Yeah. And the defense, yeah, that was the biggest surprise. And I mean, like, this could be one of the best drafts. Leon has had some good drafts, right? His first draft, he got Emmanuel quickly. Obi Toppin still ended up being a good player. He got Grimes, McBride, and Sims, all contributors, right, in some level. And McBride's case, like, a really good one. And me and Grimes, like, all the hate, whatever we want to say, the guy ended up, the guy's a solid rotation player for 25 in the draft. That's not bad. But this might be the best one because I don't think he's drafted. I would legit say he hasn't drafted a guy with the upside of Dadiet yet. And that includes Obi.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, Dadiet is just like so much younger than anyone that we've ever picked before, too.
Like, that combo of tools and feel, like the way he was moving on defense at this age, even if he's already capable of being a rotation player when most guys are in and like, remember when we drafted him, everyone was like, oh, he's drafting stash. And he said, and I think this matters, he said, no, I'm playing the NBA this year. and he's getting. I mean, beat out Matt Ryan. Like I'm not saying Matt Ryan is some world beater, but Matt Ryan is a rotation level NBA player. The last 2 games, he's gotten minutes over him, and like, Matt Ryan hasn't played. You know,
Yeah.
that kind of matters. Like it shows, especially under a guy like Tibbs, right? So.
Speaking of Matt Ryan, Dorkosaurus Rex says, I don't even like Matt Ryan, but playing starters 40-plus minutes should just never be an option, especially with a game tomorrow. How is this not coaching 101? Seriously. He also gave the backstory to his name, which I asked. He is a dork who loves dinosaurs. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, how do you feel about the minutes, Sam?
I don't like playing these guys so much minutes, especially OG, because like OG is so valuable and he's so fragile. It's like you don't want to put this much wear and tear on him already, and we're only in what is it, November, mid-November? Like
Yeah.
I want to keep OG as fresh as possible, especially now that we're seeing the strides that he's made on offense. It's just like you now have this like two-way wing, a consistent two-way wing, who's like really efficient offensively and really versatile and really good defensively. It's like you don't want to like take that out of your arsenal so early because you're playing him so much and he gets hurt. Knock on wood.
Yeah, OG and honestly, Cat doesn't have the best injury history. Those have been more freak injuries. So it's fair, but like he just every time Cat falls, you just hold your breath, you know.
Yeah, I mean, even today he fell today and he got up, but like he just kept grimacing after, and I was just like, okay.
He didn't come back to the game, you know. That was I don't. It doesn't seem he did the post game interview. It doesn't seem like it'll be an issue, but you know, it's just. But what would your kind of solve be there? I guess
in terms of the wing thing.
Yeah, how do you alleviate those guys' minutes?
It's tough. I mean, I would like to see Pacome. Maybe you bump him up to 15. See if you can trust him for 15 minutes. Because like today, he only played 9 tonight. So it's like if you play him at like 15, you give some of those guys a little bit more rest. They're not all the way up to 40. It's like, can you do that? I mean, Deuce wasn't playing tonight too, so it's like, can you supplement like a Deuce, Pacome, those guys with some of the wing rotation? Like, I don't know. I feel like options are limited just based on like, because like, is Thibs gonna trust Pacome and Matt Ryan out there? Like, no, he's not. So it's like one or the other. And like when Deuce comes back, it's like, all right, you throw him into the fold. It's like Deuce. My ideal off the bench would be Deuce, Payne, Pacome, and Hukporti off the bench right now. Like those would be my main 4 off the bench, and like just got to play some guys a little bit more minutes. You got to play some of the starters a little bit less minutes. Trust and lean on Pacome a little bit more, and yeah. Stacy glitched out. I think he should be back in here soon. But I will fill him in on that. HB Greg says Stacy gonna get pulled over. Maybe he did. We'll see. But yeah, that's my solution to it. I would like to see what people in the comments say their solution to that would be as well. But yeah, I mean, I think that you just got to trust some guys a little bit more. HB Greg says get more good players. Easier said than done. Easier said than done. Dorkosaurus Rex says any possible way you can. Dadiet 15 minutes over 10 is not throwing the game. He was plus 14 LOL. HB says we need to draft Ryan Dunn. Funny you say that about Ryan Dunn. Ryan Dunn's been actually like shooting like pretty bad these last couple games. Not last couple games, like for a good stretch of the the year so far. Um, and like his 3-point shooting, he's like shooting like 30% on the year from three now. So like seems like regression to the mean has hit in the hardest way. He only played 18 and a half minutes. Um, had 2 points, 0 rebounds, 0 assists, a steal. Ryan Dunn is just I don't like how so many people have like turned on Pacome for Ryan Dunn because Ryan Dunn had like a good first like 6-7 games. So, but yeah, I mean, Pacome, I agree with you guys in terms of like Pacome, he can play 15 minutes. Like I just feel like he's able to. He doesn't do anything that's detrimental enough to kill the team in minutes. It's just a Thibs thing. Like Tyrese tweeted it the other day. Like he has to like pretend like these guys have to like earn it, even though he like likes a lot of these rookies, especially like yeah, I think he likes all three of the rookies. Like I think it's like what Tyrese said in his tweet. He's tweeted that like he likes all of them, but he has to like do the fake oh you have to earn it thing just to keep up with appearances, which is like all right, you can do that, but like you're making things harder on yourself than they need to be for this team. Um, but yeah, I agree. I agree with you guys. I don't like playing these guys so many minutes so early in the year, especially someone as valuable as an OG. There are ways to get around that, and I feel like the team should be quicker to implement those ways. And we'll see how things go. Especially we have a back-to-back, so tomorrow is against the Wizards, and we'll see what happens with the Wizards there. We'll see what happens with Cat if they play him or not. But yeah, Drokosaurus Rex also says Dadiet played against the Celtics 13 minutes and was a team high plus minus. Come on, enough of this nonsense. Hey, preachers to acquire here. I think Pacome can play. He should play. But yeah. The X Boy 71 says, give the rookies 10 to 15 minutes they can play. I agree as well. I think they should play, and we'll see what happens as the team, continues, as guys get healthy, as the team continues to gel. We will see what they do in terms of the rookies in the lineup, because they can all play. It's all a matter of like will Thibs trust them to. Because I don't like to be the minutes police, but I also don't like to play guys a lot of minutes when it's not necessary. I don't know if Stacy is going to join back because I do feel like we have talked about this game a pretty good amount. And HB Greg, what are my picks for the next game? All right, so next game for the Wizards. All right, this is all dependent on man, the Wizards are 2-10. I had no idea they were this bad. Holy crap. All right. So the Wizards actually played today. I want to get a good idea of how they did against the Wizards before against the Pistons. Before I make my pick. Cade Cunningham, another triple-double. Shout out to him. Bilal. Ooh, okay. So players that I'm eyeing. Bilal, Sar, and I want to say Poole. Oh, we have Stacy here. Hello, Stacy.
Yeah, sorry, just had an issue.
My answer to that question was to trust Pacome to give you like 15 minutes worth of what you call it, of like wing minutes, as well as like Deuce, because Deuce didn't play these last couple games as well. I feel like he sort of gets some like pseudo wing minutes sometimes.
Or it like cascades, right? Like
yeah. So
if
like
you play
I feel
him
like,
minutes at the 2, it decreases Bridges, which decreases OG and all that. So
yeah. So like having Deuce back out there, as long as trusting Pacome to play 15 minutes and like eat up those 15 minutes, then I feel like that should be enough to decrease the minutes where like these guys aren't pushing 40 minutes a night. So
yeah, it's I think at some point that you have to play Sims or whoever it is, you have to play Cat some minutes at the 4.
mm-hmm.
He was very effective in that role next to Rudy Gobert, who's not spacing big by any means. We know that Cat can just be that, right? And I think there's been this debate about should we be we should maximize to play Cat at the 5, or we should maximize to play Cat at the 4, and Brunson is better with a 4-out offense. And I was like, the way you win is that you can do all of it, right? The team that won last year could play many different ways. They could play Porzingis at the 5. They play with Horford at the 5. They could, the teams that win can win multiple ways. And I think the beauty of Cat is that he can do both of those things. So I think he needs to play some at the 4, whether it's Sims, Huckporty, and we'll see what happens when Precious and Mitch come back. Those are, I think, the long-term solutions. I agree that Dadiet can get 15 minutes. And, Deuce coming back will obviously help a little bit. But, you look at these numbers. It's also, they played a team that is hell-bent on beating them, right? This is a team that is not going to have many aspirations beyond the regular season. And they played, this is a big thing for them, right? And if you think about the baggage there, right? A lot of these guys are considered now the consolation prize for the fact that KD and Kyrie didn't work out. They know that. Ben Simmons 0 for. Can we talk for a minute about Ben Simmons? He had 8 assists, but that guy was an incredible player.
Tragic story.
I took my dad to a game between the Knicks and the Sixers a few years ago,
mm-hmm.
and my dad doesn't watch he was a huge NBA fan in the 80s, so I was trying to tell him. So they had Embiid, and I was like, that guy's like Shaq, for today's day and age, right? I'm not saying Embiid is as good as Shaq. Mm-hmm. And I was like, Ben Simmons is a point guard, but he's 6'9", so think of him a little bit like Magic. And Ben Simmons killed us that game. I think I can't remember who won, but it was one of the early. It was before he got Brunson, but we were decent. It was one of the Randall years.
Mm-hmm.
Just to see that guy fall off and just be. I can't even call him Alfred Payton right now. I think he didn't score.
Nope. 0. Donut.
He played well on defense. I thought he was good on Brunson, and he had 8 assists. But, I think a lot of it is injuries. That's probably the most underrated part of that. But, yeah.
Injuries and just, never really actually improving his game. He is literally the same player he has been since his rookie year. He's just, more injured, and he doesn't, do all of, the fast break stuff. But, the Nets don't really go out in transition enough for him to even Nets don't go out in transition. They don't have as high of talent as the Sixers did for him to do all the transition shit he used to do early in his career, which is where he got a bulk of I feel a bulk of his stuff. Because once teams figured out, all right, let's just sit on his shit in the half court, it was just done.
I do want to talk about a little bit today. Campaign was actually kind of good.
Yeah, no, he gave us some Phoenix campaign today.
I think he's fine for this role. It is. That's the thing. We've had Emmanuel Quickly, right? We've had Deuce, right? We've had these guys who are backup guards who just play awesome. Sometimes you just need a guy who's going to be a little high variance, and
yeah, no, for sure. What you call it here? BX Boy 71 says I want to see Kolek, Dadiet, and a quarter play at least 15 minutes against the Wizards. Start Payne, rest Brunson and Cat. Wow, okay. I was down for the rest Cat thing just because of the way he fell, and he's already banged up from the Bulls game too. I don't know about rest Brunson, but I'm definitely on the rest Cat train.
I think Brunson kind of just needs to keep getting reps.
Yeah, for sure. With and without Cat.
Yeah, I mean, there's people that are like insinuating, oh, without Cat. I mean, he scored 37 without Cat. Obviously, tonight didn't play very well. I think, though, I don't think that's a real thing. Like, I don't think playing with he played with Porzingis. I don't think it's going to be hard to play with Cat. It's not like Cat occupies the same areas on the floor. I think in terms of their pick and roll being great, and like what it could be enough to beat Boston, which I think it can be. That's not there, but that will take time. I don't think Cat is actively disrupting, but I also think like Brunson played into June, heavy minutes. I broke his hand, and he always starts a little bit slow to start the season. And I don't think he's a guy we need to rest. And I think it's a little bit arrogant to think we can just beat anyone right now because we have a lot of new faces. And the rookies are good, but they are high variance. That is the nature of rookies. Dadiet looked great on defense. Once teams get a little more film on him, he's gonna have like it's never a linear thing. It's always ups and downs and all that. In terms of Hakporti, so I think the team just looks so different with Hakporti on the floor.
It does.
Kolek, I'm not there yet at all. Payne just has a little bit more shot making, a little bit more knowledge of the game, even on defense. Like Payne is, I'm not gonna say Payne is a good defender, but Kolek, it's like I think Kolek can get to the point, and I think he will, where he's manageable on defense, but he's struggling against both those things, right? A lack of elite athleticism and size, as well as just being a guy who's not played at this level before. Yes, I think Kolek is going to be a guy who plays 10 years in the league as a backup guard.
And some TJ McConnell shit.
I'm not going to go there because I just think they're different players. I would go more with. He's a different mold of player, but he's
no. Passing... But I'm talking about like the terms of like archetype, like the backup guard that plays like 10 years or so.
Yeah, I think Tyus Jones, I think, is another good one, right? Like,
yeah,
just a guy who knows how to run the offense. Can hit open shots when you need him to. But with Hakporti, like the way he looked, like for him to get 0 minutes after getting 30, and Tibbs just like riding him to the end.
Whoa,
that was like I get that he likes to shit on rookies, but it's come on, like you played him 30 minutes, you played him like 14 minutes in a row, like you obviously like the guy.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And he's better than Sims. Like we can just be honest, unless Sims doesn't play bad. And then Dadiet, like I actually think there are things like my worry is you throw Dadiet out against Boston and they got Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. I don't think he can hold up there. It's not even a question of knowing what to do or his athleticism. It's a strength. But he's 19, right? But if he's ahead of Matt Ryan, you got to play him, right? You brought in this veteran player, so you might as well play him. So do they need 15 minutes with Deuce back? I think, if the alternative is playing OG 40 minutes, 45 minutes or whatever, like, yeah. Kolek is the one it's not that I'm not even high in his game. It's just like, it's not having that impact right now. And Payne is, for all his warts, and there are a lot of warts. He can hit shots. He can get his own shot. He can run the offense, and he's a little bit more adept on defense. But I'd be curious, like, what do you think about the rookies so far?
I thought they've been pretty good. I mean, Hakporti, like you said, he's offered something different to the Knicks lineup. Very Isaiah Hartenstein-esque. Kind of fills that Isaiah Hartenstein shaped hole that this team was missing, I guess you can say, or at least a lot of fans were missing.
And he's 55, German, makes those short roll passes. It's tough not
Yeah,
to feel the. I mean, like it feels like a lazy comp, but also like it's tough not
it's
to be reminded like
yeah,
he
no,
plays that
for
role.
sure. I guess so. I thought he's been pretty good. In what in the limited time that we've seen from him, Pacome has played, um, well in terms of like feel for the game and like just today on defense, I thought he was really good. Like he stifled, Zaire Williams on that shot right there. When he tried to take him, I think Zaire just thought like he would be able to just like body him or whatever, even though like they're like the same build.
And he didn't foul. That's a. I mean, in this game, that was a big deal, right?
Yeah, and he didn't foul. Like I just thought that was big. And like whenever we've seen Pacome out there, it's like he's not doing anything that's detrimental to the team, but he's also not doing anything that's like oh my god, he hit like 4 threes in a row or something like that. He's just like he fits in like as a guy on the court, and it's not like in a negative or an overtly positive way. So it's like you can have a guy like that eat up like 10 to 15 minutes. Like other guys, like even against the Pacers, when we were playing against the Pacers, like the Pacers are missing like Nemhard and Toppin and Neesmith, and they throw out guys like Johnny Furphy out there and stuff like that. So like it's like teams, they will throw out guys just to eat up some minutes for a little bit if they're even like what you call it, viable. So it's like, yeah, I don't see why not he can't play. He's already playing over Matt Ryan now, and like Matt Ryan was like this big deal thing that they were doing so far. So, but yeah,
It's like beating out Alec Burks last season, right? So.
Yeah.
I did want to ask you this. So there were only 2 players in the Knicks with negative plus minus. One was Jericho Sims, -4. Who do you think the other one was?
It wasn't Brunson, was it?
Yeah, he had a -1.
Wow.
I have no problems with how Brunson played today.
Yeah, no, for sure.
This is the craziest. My hottest take is I had more problems and criticism of Brunson when he scored 37 on Friday.
That's hilarious.
Than tonight, because I thought like he just made the right decisions and he missed shots that it's like he has to take, and he didn't take a ton of them.
Yeah, no. All right. HB Greg had asked me for my pick for the next game. I've been doing this nightly tradition now of picking, I guess you could say a player, or at least like some props from the next game that like I guess our opponent will go off against us. First game I chose was the Bulls. I thought Josh Giddey would get a triple-double against us because he always gets a triple-double in MSG. Last game was the first time I feel like in his career at MSG he never got it. So that was interesting. I feel like when I do this, I'm actually jinxing the opponent. Like I picked Jaylen Wilson for the first Nets game, and then he ended up getting like his max points today. But the players that I'm eyeing, of course, preseason, and one Corey Kispert. White shooters against the Knicks, never a recipe that fails. But so far I've not been doing good with these picks. Take your pick with who you think will go off in terms of Jordan Poole with the threes, Kyle Kuzma with the threes, or Kispert with the threes. But one of those 3 will go off against probably, or not. That's a good thing. But if you're gambling, I guess not. My expertise this year, of course, is the live gamble, as you saw from my parlay I hit against in the Nets game, the last game.
What was your parlay?
So what I bet was at halftime, I took Cam Thomas for 40 points and 7 threes. I took Mikal for 4 threes. I took Jaylen Brunson for 35 points. I took OG for 8 rebounds, and I took Josh Hart for 8 assists. The last thing to cash was, of course, Jaylen Brunson, 35 points on the game-winning 3. So you could imagine how I felt during that moment. And yeah,
you got them both on the wow. Yeah.
And like that was $5 for $1,433.
So Sam is buying everyone drinks at the next Strickland meetup.
I'm sure, yeah, if I had another parlay like this, which is in my case could happen anytime soon. I mean, I've had a couple parlays that barely missed today. If you look on my timeline, I had 2 today that barely missed. I had Julius Randle, 35 points, Devin Booker, 50 points, Devin Booker, 6 threes, Julius Randle, 4 threes. Julius Randle hits the game winner, of course, to make sure the game doesn't go into overtime. So I don't cash the bet, but close enough there. But you guys get the gist. I am better at the live parlays than the pregame stuff. It's much easier to get a flow of like who's going to you get a much better flow of like who's gonna like you get a better idea who has a better rhythm in the game than like before the game. So but before the game, for the next game, HB Greg, I know you're gonna kill me regardless, but I am taking you can take one of your pick of Corey Kispert, Kyle Kuzma, Jordan Poole. I know those are like the easiest answers. If you want a like out of the blue pick, Kaishan George.
Ooh. I haven't followed him. I liked him out of the draft.
Yeah, he cashed one line in a parlay for me one time. Yes, Andre Dreyer, that is true. Now all of my winnings go to myself.
Buy your kids some cupcakes or something, you know? Wait, what do you teach again, Sam? Sorry.
Pre-K.
Yeah, buy them some cupcakes. Oh, their parents might not be. My
Cupcakes? Cupcakes?
My mom's a dentist, so she never let me have fucking cupcakes or candy or anything until I was like old enough to be big enough to be like, nah, I'm gonna have some fucking cupcakes.
No, cupcakes. Oh man, giving my kids cupcakes is like giving like crackheads crack and like telling them to like go wild
and try to teach them math or something afterwards.
Yeah. Like, no, I can't give 4-year-olds cupcakes. I only have them eat cupcakes when it's like we have like a birthday and like one of the parents brings in like cupcakes, and like I do it at the end of the day because like you get your cupcakes, you go home. I don't have
you're
to
their problem.
You're after school's problem. You're your parents' problem. You're your babysitter's problem, but you're not my problem because like giving kids cupcakes and then having to like deal with them for like the time after. So rough. But yeah, those are my picks for the next game. If you want my true picks, then you can check out what I have going on halftime. Tag me on Twitter, ask me for what I'm playing at halftime. We'll see. Hopefully the Knicks actually win in like comfortable fashion against the Wizards tomorrow, and it's like not a close game.
The Wizards are another team that plays tough, and they have all those shooters. I'm surprised actually. I'd ask you, what do you think about Alex Sarr so far? I thought he was, a lot of people always go, yeah, bust. I've liked what I've seen.
I don't know what his numbers have been on the year so far. I mean, I don't know if he's had any like really eye-opening performances so far, but then again, like not a lot of rookies have had a lot of eye-opening performances. I mean, the two most standout performances.
He had like the last game, not the last game, but against the Hawks, he had 20.7 rebounds.
Yes, I saw that, and he was the only
blocks,
and he was the only plus on the team.
And the 20, he hit 3 or 4 from 3. Like he's not shooting that well from 3. He's 21%, but 4 steals, 3 blocks. Like, and I saw this in preseason. The guy can move his feet. He's a good defender.
He's pretty agile.
Yeah, like he was given Cat problems. So, and you can see what Cat's doing against the league. So,
yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, I mean, I think he's a lot of people have just not have like such strong opinions, I guess, for this rookie class, just because like I guess they feel like the top of the draft was pretty underwhelming. But like you're seeing guys like Jared McCain, and Dalton Connect, guys picked later in the draft, they're like really popping off and like really scoring a lot for their teams and stuff like that. So it's like,
well, the last draft I can remember being this reviled, like there's no great player, was 2020, because everyone was way too low on Anthony Edwards, first of all.
Yeah.
But also like you had so many guys pop that were like thought of as role players that look like stars, right? Desmond Bain,
Tyrese Maxey.
Quickly, even, right? Quickly's paid like a star now, and that's his kind of identity on the Raptors. We'll see how much he can live up to it, right?
Doesn't keep getting these like freak injuries.
Yeah.
Pelvic injury.
And Tyrese Maxey, Halliburton. I mean, there's 3, 4, 5, 6 potential stars there in that draft. And then and then you have guys like Jaden McDaniels, or is it Jaylen? I always confuse them. Jaylen. It's Jaden is Minnesota, right?
Jaden is Minnesota, yes.
Yeah. So like, not a star, but could he be something like OG someday? Looks like he's getting there. So, I think a lot of the times I would be very curious to see when people say this is a great draft versus the RJ draft was supposed to be generational. Remember that? The Zion, Ja, Cam Reddish. That draft was supposed to be Brandon Boston. BJ Boston was thought to be like a generational prospect as well. That hasn't quite lived up to it, and some of that is injuries. Zion, I still think when he plays is incredible. But, I think a lot of these draft prognostications tell us, and it's not a worthwhile exercise to kind of try to figure it out, but, we still don't really know.
Yeah, no, for sure. It takes a while for these guys to like really find themselves, but I mean, we'll see how Alex Hart looks against us tomorrow. It depends on like who's playing too. Like, is Cat gonna play? Who's gonna play? Is Sims gonna play? Like, I feel like that really matters because like if Sims starts off the game, who knows how maybe Sar gets off to a good start tomorrow. So
I almost a little bit hope that Cat sits.
Same.
Just because, not even, I think that the Brunson conspiracy theories about are they good fit or stupid to me, but just I think if Hukporti gets Czar, I like Hukporti in that.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Like if Cat is out, I don't know. This is maybe a hot take. I would look at the over-unders on Ariel Hukporti on whatever site they're available on because.
Sure. Well, maybe Bet Online will have them. Bet Online might have them. Shout out to Bet Online. FanDuel will not. FanDuel never does this shit, man. They'll never have like guys like Hukporti available. Never.
But I just hope that he continues to get because like it was eye opening like what he did last game. I mean, am I just being crazy to say that or?
Repeat that.
I mean, it was eye opening to me what Hukporti did on Friday.
I mean, yeah. I mean, for a guy picked where he was, and seeing what we've seen from Sims, it definitely is eye opening for sure.
Like we haven't had rim protection. Forget Sims. I was asking myself, should this guy be ahead of Mitch when he gets back? Like, because I didn't see Mitch catch the ball in a short roll. He drove to the rim and nearly finished.
Yeah,
he had that floater over Cam.
Mitch doesn't do that.
He doesn't do a lot of the things. I think the rebounding. I'd have to look. He had 4 rebounds in 30 minutes, but he had everything in a way that is just like, this guy isn't playing at all. I know you like Sims, but
yeah, it was bizarre. Brent is asking us an NBA question. He says, "Do you think the East and West records will balance out this year? Balance out how?"
So East win and loss. I'm gonna look this up right now, but I would imagine I'm balanced in favor of the West.
Can't
get totals. AI fucking sucks, huh?
What did Allen Iverson do? But yeah, I mean, elaborate on what you mean by balance out in terms of like, because like, are you saying that like they're both like really top heavy?
I think the East is more top heavy, but the West has like 10, 11, 12 teams that can make the playoffs. That's the feeling, I think. But I also think the East is low key pretty. Like, how many teams are tanking in the East? Nobody's tanking in the East right now.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a lot of teams at the bottom that like should be more closer to the top. Like, look at Philly; they're like 2-10, and they shouldn't be.
They should be. This is karma for Joel Embiid being.
It definitely is.
But I mean, even seem like. Do I think Cam Thomas is a future All-Star? Like a lot of people are saying, no. Do I think they have some good players? Yeah, like they've done what the Knicks were trying to do with Mario Hezonja and Noah Vonleh and all that, right? That's what they're doing right now. But they got to do it with the benefit of trading KD and Harden and all these guys for a ton of picks. So there's no shame in the Knicks beating them 2 in a row, even if they're close. Detroit is no joke,
Yeah, they're top 10 defense this year.
They have a lot of talented players. I think Cade in a different situation would really be popping. I mean, even Washington, right? They're young. Washington is like the young team, but they're not tanking. The only teams I think, and I mean, a sleeper team to look out for is Charlotte, right? Like LaMelo is for real. Will the East only have over 500 teams? I would say they'll have more. What?
Yeah, that's what he meant. I think by balancing out in terms of like, will there be a decent amount of like, I guess like
decent teams?
Yeah, decent teams on both sides, because like you see on the West, there's like 9 teams above 500.
Yeah, so if I look at the East standings, right, we can go. Cavs, do you think they'll finish over 500?
Yes.
Do you think they'll finish 100%? No, but they are. That's what they are now, right? Celtics, obviously, yes. Magic are currently a half game ahead of the Knicks. They will, I think, the Knicks, I do think, will finish over 500. I actually think the Knicks will finish over 50 wins. Pistons are in 5th.
Yeah, and they got a top 10 defense.
I'm going to punt on that now, but that's 4 teams already, right? And that was the question. Will the Knicks only have 4? So will they have more than 4? I think you have to put the Pacers in there. I think they finish over 500.
Mm-hmm.
And to the extent every other team, I would say, is kind of in that in-between zone. The Hawks, the Heat, the Hornets, the Bulls. I mean, the Bulls just beat the Knicks. The Nets. I mean, we haven't. When is the last time Giannis has finished under 500?
Man, that's crazy.
They're 4-9 right now, but
it looks really bad.
But I would still, between them and then the Sixers are 2-10, which let's laugh. Actually, this is the part we throw our heads back and laugh. All right. That is awesome, but I also think they'll probably get to 42 wins. So
maybe if their 3 best players can like put together any semblance of cohesion and chemistry on the court together.
It's not even that. They just don't play together that much.
Yeah.
You can't rely on Embiid, and even when Embiid plays, he's not the same. We saw them in the playoffs. Offensively, he's still a force, but I mean, you remember that dunk that OG had in, what was it, Game 5 or Game 6?
Mm-hmm.
That's not happening against a healthy Embiid, and that's not a knock on OG. OG is a great athlete, but he's not that guy anymore on defense. But do I think they get more than 4 teams? One of those teams will finish out of, like, we named 4 that I think will: Celtics, Cavs, Magic, Knicks. Between the Hawks, Pacers, Heat, Bucks, and Sixers, one of them will fit. And I'm not even talking about the Bulls or Hornets, but they both look feisty at least.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think they'll balance out, if that's what Brent means, for sure. It's still really early in the year, so wouldn't put too much stock into how things are shaking up right now.
But I also just think there's like very few bad teams this year. Like, really, like when I say bad teams, I mean like, all right, it's Tuesday and we're playing the Pistons, like we would have said a year ago, and
Mm-hmm.
this is an easy win. There's like in the East, the Raptors are last.
The Raptors aren't a bad team. They've like been unfortunate with injuries and stuff like that, and like end of game stuff. They aren't really all the way polished with that as well too.
Are you buying the RJ Barrett being a great number one now that he's averaging
No.
23, 5, and 5?
No. He's making the most of his opportunity on like a mediocre team, but no.
Yeah, but I mean, there's no like gimme games, right? There's very few gimme games in the East.
Well, the Wizards should be a gimme game.
That's the closest thing, right? But they're playing hard and they have some good young talent. I think Bilal Coulibaly will actually be a tough cover for us.
Oh yeah, for sure. He's like 6'9" now and like hitting threes and shit.
Yeah, and then in the West, the only teams that are tanking are the Jazz and the Trailblazers, right? So
yeah.
I mean, I also think the West is always going to be deeper. I don't know the reason for that as much.
I mean, there's just a deeper concentration of talent over there.
Yeah, I mean, they have some big markets. They have, they have teams like. There's no reason Memphis should be in the Western Conference.
Well, that will change when expansion gets here. So,
yeah, well, I'm moving to Seattle, so I really hope expansion gets here. This is the first time living in a city with no NBA team, so I really hope expansion gets here soon, so I can go to some NBA games.
Yeah.
Again. But I mean, I think if you look at the top, hey, let me ask you this: the Warriors are 10-2. Are you buying that, like long term?
I am actually. I am. I feel
team with a
not a championship team just yet. But I am buying their record.
No, what I mean is they've won a championship before, right? And they have a guy.
I mean, they have the formula. They've done this. They've won a championship many different ways now. They've done the strength in numbers. They've done super top heavy with KD and all that.
And they still have the common denominator, right? They have Steph,
Steph and Draymond, yeah, they still have that common denominator. Buddy Hield's been great in this like pseudo Clay role, especially on offense. They're able. I mean, Steve Curry goes like 12 deep some nights, so it's like they have a really deep team that he trusts a lot of the players on the team. So it's like, yeah, I mean, if you can continue that, then
yeah, it's just, I mean, it's
like plug and play with a lot of guys there. So
I think when you look at the West, you're going to look at the end of the season. There are going to be some good teams that miss the playoffs. The Mavericks, for example, with arguably the third, fourth. Are you a Luka guy? Not a Luka guy? Neutral on Luka?
I don't like the way he plays defense, which is non-existent.
Yeah, I'll give you that. But the Mavs have Luka Doncic, and they're 10th seed right now, right? The Clippers have Kawhi Leonard, they're 11th seed. The Spurs have Wembanyama, and they're 12th seed.
Define the Clippers have Kawhi.
That's a good point. So I mean, but the point is, there's going to be some really like elite NBA MVP level players that probably missed the playoffs.
Yeah,
in the West, and that's a fair point to bring out. But I think the East at the top is pretty fucking good. And I actually, I'll even say this: like the Knicks beat the Cavs 2 years ago, and I was like, this kind of shows they're a good regular season team, but they haven't really figured out the fit. I think they figured it out. They figured out how to match Mitchell and Garland, and Mobley's just better now and more versatile. They are a real threat. If you're expecting a replay of, I'm not saying the Knicks can't beat them. I think the Knicks have a lot of avenues to beat them because the Knicks have improved too, but they are a very, very strong threat, not just to the Knicks, but to the Celtics and to anyone out of the West. I mean, I think you'd still think out of the West, Oklahoma City comes out, but yeah.
I got to see it to believe it with the Cavs. They can do this regular season stuff all they want. I got to see it.
It looks different, though, than when they were doing before. What they were doing before was like they would get hot because Garland was out and Mitchell would just fucking go on a tear. Right? Or Allen was out and Mobley would be in.
I gotta see it. I gotta see it hitting the playoffs.
That's fair. I hope we don't, because I would like to see the Knicks beat them. But yeah, it does feel different to me.
Yeah, I can understand that. All right. I think we're gonna end things off here. I will definitely be back tomorrow for tomorrow's game, tomorrow's stream. Back to back. Hopefully, the Knicks take care of business against the Wizards. Shout out to everyone that tuned in. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe. Check out all the stuff that we are doing on the Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. Make sure you follow us there. Twitter. Make sure you follow us on Blue Sky. We're on Blue Sky now too, as well. And a lot of people are migrating from Twitter to Blue Sky, or at least preemptively migrating as they anticipate what will happen with the site we know as Twitter, which is known as X. But yeah, we're also on Blue Sky, so make sure you follow us there. Say Matt, all that good stuff. And yeah, I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Enjoy your night. Peace.